Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Evolution Growth Summit here in the school-based podcast, the Evolution Podcast in Evergreen Foundations, where we've been doing 33 calls all January long. We will go down to one a week that we are recording on Wednesdays. And we had an amazing guest on the podcast earlier, Cherise Corretz, and a Canadian, and no different. I'm staying in the north where I'm from, not Canada, but close, and bringing in another amazing Canadian healer, herbal coach. So I'm super excited to introduce Lindsay Ranson. Welcome, Lindsay. How are you?
Thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Yeah, it's great to be here. It's good to see you. So much time has gone by with this new year. It's nice to finally catch up with people.
I know isn't it crazy that sometimes, especially as entrepreneurs and business owners, and we have clients and people and community owners who will be like, "Oh, we need to catch up soon," and then like 4 months go by, and you're like, "Oh, I have to talk to Lindsay." Like, yeah, it's crazy how that happens. Lindsay, I start every single one of these summit calls with the same question. So, who is Lindsay Ranson?
Oh boy, that is a question for the ages. Using the statement "I am" feels silly these days because I have taken such a journey into the spirit realm of what we really are. But I guess what I do is I am working as a holistic therapist and mindset coach, and I help people to get in touch with their higher selves, heal all kinds of mental and physical illness, and unlock trapped life force particles in their body so that they can use those in being the conscious creator that you are. Um, with my work, I use everything from energy medicine to flower essences, as you know all about, herbal remedies, but a lot of it is just verbal work that is so energetically powerful that one of the great things I take so much pleasure in doing is helping people relieve pain in an instant. It's kind of like a selfish habit that I have right now. Anytime I meet somebody that's dealing with some kind of a chronic pain, I'm like, "Oh, we get like let's get together. Trust me, just let's get together." Because I really enjoy watching people dissolve pain in an instant. So that's one of the things I just relish in. But yes, I'm working as a holistic therapist and mindset coach. I do a great many things, but that is the one thing that I am really doing right now. I am also I've launched a few YouTube channels, and Misty Mountains Holistic Therapy on YouTube is where I am actually putting a lot of my coaching for free right now. So anybody that wants free coaching can put in questions, whether it's in my community or even in the comments on my YouTube page, Misty Mountains Holistic, and I will answer your questions in the videos. And yeah, so feel free to check that out. And everyone in the community, check out the posts that I made. I linked a few of my videos in there, and I'm really excited to have those out there. Check them out and let me know what you think.
Yeah, pin those to the wall. I appreciate you sharing that. We have really turned the community and school thing on its head a little bit. We love when other owners connect and promote their communities. And that's really why this summit and podcast started at all, which I think is really cool. I just thought of this. You were actually our first guest call ever in Evergreen Evolution before it became Evergreen Foundations. That kind of was the brainchild idea of what we're doing now. And I actually that topic will we I should bring that back up. It's in the classroom. That topic will forever be something that I now research more and I want to know more about talking to you today. Is you really talk to us about how disease manifests in the mind and everything that you feel you either heal or destroy.
Yeah. So I guess to elaborate on that a little bit, it's learning that everything that we experience in our life first begins as a thought of our own. Whether it's something that was suggested by somebody else, something we observed with a person next to us, something that was suggested by a friend, a doctor, a colleague, a parent. Everything that we experience is something that we have thought of, like that has been given to us, a thought that we agree upon. And upon agreeing with that suggestion, it becomes a part of us. And we can manifest disease, illness, pain in our body in an instant simply by agreeing with a thought. And as we all know, like our thinking is so malleable. Like it is so influenced by everything and everyone around us. So one of the things that I've been getting on to teaching is the the idea of non-reaction. So finding inner peace through non-reaction, stoicism, that inner peace, because I feel like we've all been kind of raised to be very reactive. We've all got an opinion. We love to express it. We love to express our opinions, our feelings, our emotions, our thoughts, our words. We're just like, any chance we get, we're like, yeah, blah, 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 get it out there. But as it turns out, our thoughts are things. Our thoughts are actual tangible things, and they resonate in our body. They resonate out into the world. I just recently did a video on oneness, of how everything and everyone is actually all connected. We are one great consciousness. So everything that you put out, it's affecting you. Everything that you say has an effect on you. When I was first learning how to release pain in an instant, the week leading up to one of my practice calls, um, I was dealing with back pain in the middle of my back. It was just like, it was aching so bad. Every time I sat down at my desk, it would start to tense up. It would get hot. It would get stiff. And I could feel it just like pushing down on me. And I'm like, why? I'm like, maybe I'm sitting bad. Maybe I need a new chair. Oh, maybe I'm sleeping weird. All the excuses come up of like, why could this be? I do the same routine. I take my skull cap tincture. I relax my muscles. I do some yoga. I stretch. I put some pain away balm on my muscles. The pain subsides. I go to sleep. I wake up the next day. I go back to my desk. I do my thing, and the pain's back again. I do this over and over and over. The routine, of subsiding the pain, taking the stuff, doing the balm, blah blah blah. For a week and a half, it kept coming back every day. It was driving me kind of nuts. And then, of course, you get in the thing of maybe it's an old injury. I had a fall injury decade ago. Maybe that injury's come back. Well, that makes no sense. That really doesn't make any sense. The injury came back. No, it doesn't. Injuries don't just come back. It's either healed or it's not. So then that was healed. So again, looking for excuses, nothing was adding up. So as I sat down with my teachers during this call, and they taught us this process that goes through step by step of seeing this pressure that we kind of refer to as the force, this pressure in your body, whatever feeling, wherever it is, you see it, you feel it, you identify it, you look deep into it, you connect with it, and then you release it. Well, I'll tell you, at the end of that process with my partner, the pain just dissipated in an instant. It was just gone. It brought me to tears. I couldn't believe it. I was just like, whoa, I was just moved. I'd never felt anything like it. And I had already been practicing as a holistic therapist for a while, using the herbs, using all these other methods. But that was the first time I had experienced this kind of energetic healing. And it opened my mind to realize that so much of our pain has just come from a thought. And that's what it was. It was emotional pressure I was putting on myself through a thought pattern that was on repeat in my subconscious mind over and over. And that's what was bringing it up every single day. As soon as I released that thought pattern, the pain was gone. And this is what I've practiced with a lot of people since then, is releasing a trauma, releasing a thought pattern, releasing any emotional, verbal thought process or pattern that is causing them, migraines, headaches, leg pain, back pain, wrist pain. It doesn't matter what it is. And yeah,
I'm a serial
it's
interrupter,
often not
Sam.
thought of it. Yeah.
I'm struggling not to say anything because if you're thinking what she's saying is like, oh, woo, woo, I don't know. I have done these calls with you, and I came to work with you shortly after I don't my 18th documented head injury. I had some really bad neck issues. I hurt C5 and C6 in October of 2025. I think I started 2024. And I think I started working with you shortly after that. Not only the herbs and the pain balms and the stuff, that's what I thought I was getting when I started working with you. I thought I was going to get the herbs, the stuff here, and I got that. But what you really did with me blew my mind. Like the process you just explained when you had me like breathe in and really locate the pains and think about what thoughts were creating the pains and what beliefs were creating and stuff. And that was a really powerful experience for me. So when you were talking about that, I was like, oh, it works too. Like, listen to her because it works. Um, and another thing, they call me Tornado in school all the time. I have proof that Lindsay actually got me to be present and stare her in the eyes on a call for like 5 minutes. It was torture for me, but and be present. And that was one thing we were working on. So yeah, what you're talking about is absolutely something that I never thought of until I met you. And what kind of success have you seen working with clients when you start with the thoughts?
Well, instant success. Um, One of the people I worked with, we've only had one call. She was dealing with migraine headaches for the past 8 months, I believe. She had a serious injury from a domestic dispute, actually, and or domestic violence attack, and it left her with a neck injury, back injury, head injury, and yeah, the doctors were getting ready to inject her with cortisol into her head. They Yeah, there was yeah, they put surgery on the table for her as well, and I said, "Don't do that. Please show up on a call with me. Don't take any of your pain drugs that day." And we did a 45-minute call, and we went through each area, and at the end of the call, she was pain-free.
Oh, that's really
And it's
powerful.
one of those things, like, you can know somebody for 8 months dealing with pain, and they don't believe this kinda stuff. It seems kinda
Mm.
fluffy, like like, "Oh, yeah, sure, yeah, sure, yeah." We're kinda made to believe that we need these serious interventions, and granted, serious interventions can be really useful, in life-saving situations. However, those are a lot more few than you would think. I've witnessed different diseases shrink down and dissipate. The stories of even, prayer with cancer, it's just I've seen miracles even with my godmother with stage 4 terminal cancer. She sought out holistic healing, and it was gone in a matter of months. It's one of those things that once you see it, or experience it, then it makes sense. Experiencing it is the greatest gift. And and it's hard to explain after that, and people are like, "Well, what do you do?" And I'm like, "Oh, it's hard to explain how I do it. You just show up and we'll go through it. That's the best way to do it." But Brandon, I wanted to say something about that 5 minutes of presence that we did. That
Ooh-wee.
was just the beginning. You were going to get up to 20 minutes. That's when the big neurological change happens.
That scares
That's
me.
crazy. Yeah, I think it
Exactly.
scares everybody. That just goes to show how powerful our mind is. I do have a question quickly because I am. That's how my mind operates. I want to understand things, and first thing that popped into my head is like a sort of like an emotion code. Is that something that you is it that direction or the technique that you use, like this kind of muscle testing and like releasing emotions that are trapped in the body, or I just try to understand.
I'm not sure what emotion code is, but so that the processes that I have learned were developed. It's a technology developed by Alan C. Walter, and it's a series of questions that just help you to identify, look at, feel, and experience the pain, and feel and experience the if there are any control phrases or command phrases attached to that force that you're feeling,
Mhm.
and then releasing them.
Mm.
That's the best way I can explain it without, going through the actual process.
Okay.
But yeah, it's energetic medicine. It is technology that as we connect, and that's why the presence is so important. When I was learning these techniques, these processes, I had to learn the power of presence first. And in energetically, opening up that channel with people, because again, we are all one, we are all connected. That is why it is important to do it with a partner, to do it with somebody. We all think that we can, help ourselves on our own. We all want to be our own hero. We all want to do work on ourselves, and that's good, as we should. But when it comes to this kind of energetic healing, having that partner, it amplifies things. It opens up healing channels like nothing I've ever experienced. 'Cause I've tried to do these things on my own, and I had some success, but when it really came down to it, I have to call it my sister when I really need some help with something. For example, my grandfather and one of my best friends from high school passed away on the same day back in March this year. And when I found out about my friend's death, we were on a call the day before, on a Zoom call the day before, and it just shocked me so much. And I went through all of these things in my head of what I should have done, could have done. And the next thing you know, I had a migraine headache and it would not go away. Day after day, I went through the process. I tried to release it myself. I got desperate. I called my sister and I said, look, this is happening. I need your help. And it was in going through the process with her, because she is a professional processor, um, that in the end, the pressure was finally released, because it just, you know, a week-long migraine isn't something you can really go through forever. But there was a shock that happened when I heard that news, and it presented itself as that pain in my body. And that's how easily we can get these things, and it can come from just a single thought.
That's powerful stuff. And so, say like we say like, oh well, heart disease is passed down through my family. My mom had it, my dad had it. Um,
There you go. That's something you agree with. If that's something that you agree with, then that's something that you invite into your life.
which isn't, but I remember this from the call I brought up earlier that you did was like you worked with the family, or you worked with the family where the mom died, dad got really consumed by the death of the mother, and he like passed away from the same thing. And then I think, and I'm probably butchering the story now. If you're tracking, you can totally pick up.
So yeah, so what I was on a call with a young man who had witnessed his father succumb to what he was told was a genetic disease that was affecting him neurologically, his ability to walk, talk, to have balance, everything like that. And I said it's a genetic disease. He's like, yeah. And I'm like, and so it just started in your 20s? Like where was this disease for the first 22 years of your life? And it's like, not there. Okay. When did it start? Well, when his dad passed away from that disease. He watched his dad deteriorate and pass away. And I was like, okay, but when did your dad get sick? And he's like, oh, he was in his 40s. Okay. What happened in your dad's 40s? Well, he watched his mom get sick at that age and she passed away. Okay, so where was the disease for the first 44 years of his life? Not there. So again, you can look at this and like the observation of a loved one becoming ill, you see it, you recognize it, you are told this is what you have. Then all of a sudden your body goes, "Oh, this is what you have. Get to work, body," because you have now agreed with it.
Is this
And the
like
body
almost
gets
like
to
an
work creating that
empathetic?
disease.
Is this like an
It's
empathetic reaction?
It's
Like you
it's biolo
absorb
it's a
the.
biological reaction, and these kinds of things have actually been measured and proven in scientific experiments of whatever you think, you become. And so it's
Well, do you remember?
But that's kind of
that's
cool,
why
though.
I
If you
yeah.
turn it on its head, whatever
Mhm.
I can think of, I can become.
Yes, anything a man
There's the
can
power in
conceive
it,
and
right?
believe, he can
Yeah.
achieve. Anything, it is endless, but we are so quick to just jump on the doom, the gloom, the bad. This is the conditioning through society that we've all been put through is like, look out, there's always something bad lurking. And we think about these things because we want to prevent them, but in thinking of them, we bring them on. And that's why again, I I teach a lot of non-reaction, the practice of stoicism, inner peace, to observe, to be the observer without taking part in what you're seeing. Because as soon as you put yourself into an active role in any kind of news, you are now playing that game, whether it is sickness, because again, here's one that'll blow your mind. They've done so many studies on what we call viruses, even though they've never actually been able to um, show a virus, like substantiate an actual virus that to isolate these things. Sicknesses, they've done experiments with contagions, and they've given people, mucus or something from one sick person to somebody who's not, and they don't get sick. Why not? They should, but apparently that is not how things spread. Everything has to be agreed upon by your mind. There has to be some kind of agreement. That's why the news is so powerful, and I say turn it off. That's why the radio is so powerful, I say turn it off. That's why the newspapers are so powerful, burn them. Free heat. Be careful what you watch. Be careful who you talk to and listen to. And if you're going to, you know, be around people that express a lot of things that you don't want to take part in, you practicing that stoicism, that inner peace that is of non-reaction, where you do not agree or disagree, because having a strong opposing emotion creates a pendulum effect, and you can still bring in more scenarios of that same type by your strong opposing emotion, because you're still resonating a strong emotion out into your field of energy,
Yeah.
and that ripples back at you. So
And
you get whatever you want, and whatever you want is is determined by your thought process.
So is the
Whether you
exercise
whether
then
you like it or not, whatever it is, the universe doesn't have a sense of humor, you know.
is then the exercise to think better thoughts?
Yes. Become consciously aware of your thoughts is the first step. Become very consciously aware. What you can do, like right now, a good exercise is to just to spend the next 30 days observing your thoughts. Become the observer, the curious observer. You'll start to notice where your thoughts might coming from. It doesn't really matter, you know. We are one great consciousness. You think great ideas come from you? No, they come from source energy. But just spend 30 days observing your thoughts. Don't fight them, just observe them. And if you don't like it, let it go and choose a thought that you do like. This practice helps to increase your focus, but it also helps to increase your positive thinking.
I think that's awesome. And on, honestly brought up when we were in business breakthrough together with Rob Dylan. I remember a group he did once that we were probably both on, where he talks about his buddy Hal Elrod, who wrote the book The Miracle Morning, which is a huge reason why I'm like a 4 a.m. in the morning person. And but in the book, Hal talks about when I think he had like 72 tumors or something. Every morning he would go out and sit, like he lived in California, summer warms. I couldn't do this. And he would see the sunrise every day and say, I don't have cancer. I don't have cancer. I don't have tumors. I don't have tumors. And like, I'm going to misquote the days, but it was like days, like 42, 62. It wasn't a year. It was like days that he was cancer free. And it's so, there's a lot to what you're saying here on it. And I know Dinka
There's one
always,
thing I want to add to that with what he was saying with the I don't have cancer.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The thing that you really want to focus on is the gratitude of not having it, the feeling of not having it.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Because again, your words, you're saying I
Isn't it then
and have
focusing
and
on
cancer.
isn't it
So
then
you
focusing on being healthy instead?
yes. So like I am health. I am health. I am healthy. I am statements are the most powerful statements. And focusing on the feeling of already being like connect to the gratitude of real feelings now. Connect to the feeling like you don't it's people always say, well, how do I connect to something that I don't have? And it's like through the now. Just find something that you can be grateful for now. Just staring at the sunset, that is probably invoking that feeling of love and gratitude and absolute awe. That's the feeling. Love, gratitude, and connecting to that feeling of just being healthy. When you see yourself as healthy, you will be. When you see yourself as sick, you will be. That's why sometimes, like, going to see your doctor can be helpful or it can be a death sentence. When they say, you're sick, and you go, uh-huh, and you agree. And they go, you've got this much time. And you go, oh, and you agree. And you let that become part of you. Your body responds and says, oh, you're sick. You got it. I'll get to work. Oh, you're going to deteriorate like this. Okay, you got it. I'll get to work. It is your mental agreement. And that's sometimes, the difference between, you meet people that get a prognosis from the doctor and they go, yeah, no, thank you. I don't agree with that. I'm not doing that. There's just no way. I've got so much going on in my life. I'm not having that. No, thank you. Take a hike. I'm not doing that. And they just go and do their own thing. And those people make miraculous changes. There was no agreement. And some people, and you might think, well, what about if they get angry and that opposing, like, I'm not going to do it. Well, that anger can often ripple out into a thing where they get more scenarios to be angry about.
It's really
Does that
false.
make sense?
Yeah,
It's
totally.
it's it's the coming from a place of love and gratitude versus coming from a place of anger, resentment, and blame.
And it kind of comes with, I don't know if anyone's ever seen the movie The Secret or like Joe Dispenza's work.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that this is
And he
like
goes, there's
law of
like the
attraction.
manifestation
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
but that's the thing. When you say law of attraction, we are literally always manifesting. Some people are like, "Oh, I'm not
yeah,
very
yeah.
good
Yeah.
at manifesting." It's like,
Oh, you
bullshit.
are.
You're manifesting right now.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah. That's how the universe works. Oh, here's what you that this is what you're thinking about. Here's some more of that.
Yeah, but we often don't apply this to our health. We see somebody with a cold and we're like, "Oh, stay away! Oh gosh, I'm gonna get sick. I don't want to get sick right now. I can't get sick right now." And then next thing you know, you're like, "Achoo! I got sick." We see the cold, we agree with the cold, we don't want the cold, but and even try to oppose the cold. We fight it in every direction. But the fact is, we've mentally agreed that colds are contagious and that if you're around somebody who's sick, you will get sick. That's the mental agreement.
That's a big way to put it.
Non-reaction frees you from that. Like a genuine release of reaction. Like if you actually understand that in every scientific experiment, where they've taken the saliva or the mucus from a sick person and just gone into a healthy person and nothing has come of it, you're like, whoa, that doesn't make sense to what we've been taught.
Yeah.
Why is it happening? There has to be an energetic agreement.
So stoicism is obviously a huge part of this. And I'm curious, someone who I teach a lot of things that I'm not even like really perfect at yet, right? Or guide or mentor because I do it
No,
all the time.
nobody's perfect.
Yeah, right. So like I have to do this stuff all the time. You probably weren't always stoic and non-reactive your whole life, right?
Still not.
So you're like, oh, you're like one of those
Still practicing.
yeah.
Still practicing. Always practicing. Yep.
When did you really realize like, oh, this works and I need to mentor and teach other people through this?
When I noticed the changes happening around me, through my reactiveness, I noticed the ripple effect I had on my partner, my kids. I noticed the ripple effect I had on situations in my life, everything. And I was like, oh, okay, if I can have a negative impact, I can have a positive impact. Because I think you probably both know that as a coach, nobody wants to hear you being like, oh, the power of positive thoughts. Don't think the negative thoughts. And they're like, shut up. I don't want to hear about your positive preaching stuff. And it comes down to that whole just be the change that you want to see. Well, it runs a lot deeper than that. Once you actually start being those things and you change your reaction or to non-reaction or a different reaction, a silly reaction, funny reaction, it has an immediate effect on the people around you. And that is so rewarding, especially with kids. Man, is it especially rewarding with kids because we always want to tell people what to do, but it's better to just do it yourself and notice the change.
Yeah, I've seen that in my life and the things I work on every day is I've seen that changes in my kids with me changing behaviors and me changing the way I structure my life and all the like all the parents in my kids' life. When you make changes, I really see a difference in the children. So yeah, that's super powerful.
One of the things that I've been using, and I literally just recorded a video about this for my YouTube channel before we got on this call. I'll be dropping it on Thursday, but I'll give you a little sneak peek. There's a little acronym I use because for a long time, every morning, I would ask myself a few questions, and I might have given you those questions, um, Brandon, or the morning, the gratitude procedure for the morning questions and evening questions. Did I give you those?
Yeah, you did. Yep.
One of the questions is, what do I want to give to others today? And what I wanted to practice more and be more of was patient and loving. So I would write right here on my hand, patience and love, because this is a spot on my hand that I would see all the time. And it's so easy in the morning to be like, oh, I'm meditating. I feel so good. I do my yoga. Oh, I feel so great. And then next thing you know, somebody steps on your foot and you're like, like, where did your, where did your peace go? Why are we being reactive all of a sudden? It's like, wait a minute, no, we want to be more patient and loving, or, any kind of trigger can happen and, you're right back to the same old jerk we were before. So I was writing patience and love because I would see it. So one of the things, instead of writing the long words, patience and love, you can think about this anal. It's like, what the heck is that? That's gnarly. Okay. When you think anal, you're thinking all you need is love.
Okay.
And when you come from a place of love, everything shifts because we come from a place of anger half the time, blame, resentment, so much blame. I can't tell you how blameful I've been in situations where I'm just quick to be like, why did you do that? It's like, oh, it's not a good feeling. It doesn't resonate good. It doesn't feel good. So when you just come from a place of love and realizing that not everything that happens is bad. In fact, m- everything can be good if you see it as good and you trust that everything being given to you is in fact part of a much bigger painting that you're only seeing a couple brush strokes right now. You don't see the big, beautiful finished painting. And
I think that goes
again, that's this. Sorry, go
I
ahead.
think it goes hand in hand. We had a call yesterday where Rachel Bench was talking about you can see joy in every situation, and no matter what's happening, like you can always experience joy. And we talked about that in depth yesterday. I think that goes really hand in hand with everything you're saying today, right? Like it's how you look at things. It's you can experience joy in every situation. It's the same. It starts with a thought, and we have a choice. I feel like that's been a word that's been thrown around a lot lately too. Is we have a choice that is our superpower to decide, do I want to look at it like this? Do I want to look at cancer as a death sentence? Or do I want to take my life into my own hands and make some changes? And I think it's super powerful that, but how much like pushback or resistance have you seen since you've been doing this, talking about this, telling people about this? Like, how many people are like, there's no way? Because I know I talk about this kind of stuff a lot. So I know the kind of reactions that I get when I talk about law of attraction and stuff. What have you experienced?
Um, I mean, when I first began my my career in healing this, I was talking to a lot of people with struggling with severe mental illness, bipolar disorder a lot, and there was so much pushback. I don't want to even say pushback, but there was a lot of people saying, this is genetic, it's incurable, you cannot change it. This is something that has to be managed with drugs for the rest of your life. And I'm like, I get that. I was taught that too. This is what we were taught. And people are like, well, my mom had it, my dad had it, my grandpa had it, my uncle had it. And I'm like, I understand that. I understand the family, lineage thing, that I get that, but it doesn't need to carry on. And and of course, there's people that say what you're saying is dangerous. People might just quit their medication. And I'm like, well, what I offer is healing so that you don't need to keep taking medication. But it comes down to a choice. It's, and it's not anybody's fault the way that we think, because again, it's all being taught. Everything that we think we know, we've been taught. Just because we've been taught it doesn't mean it's correct. The only real truth lies in that everything good is real and everything that does not serve you is illusion. Everything that is like, I don't want to. This sometimes offends people, but it's like disease, pain, like disease, illness, all these things are man's creation. We feel like we must suffer, and we create these things. We are given free will, and for whatever reason, we do punish ourselves. We create things knowingly or unknowingly. We go through our life consciously or unconsciously. And 98% of us, maybe even 99% of us, go through our life unconsciously creating whatever we are conditioned to create. It's nobody's fault. There is no good or bad. It's just everybody's on their own journey. Everybody finds their way in time, you know?
It's really
We're all
interesting
there at one time.
what you're saying about it's nobody's fault, because I part of my genius is pattern recognition, and what I see a lot in people is that, especially people who have all kinds of um, illnesses or disease, that they're really good at being a victim. So it's easier if it's not their fault. It's an external factor that may be genetics or whatever that made them the way they are. It's they have zero power over it. And therefore, it's the only way is to go to an external source and receive some sort of medication or whatever that they have to take, and that's the solution. And there's that.
Mhm.
But there's no power in that. So
No. And the fact is,
I
nobody will change a darn thing with the victim mentality, because everything you try to teach, or teach, show, or guide somebody who's living in victim mentality, they will do everything they can to disprove not
Yeah.
not welcome, or
Yeah.
make
The
sure
mind
that
wants to be
nothing
right.
works
Yeah.
because they want to reaffirm and reassure
Yeah.
that they are right. Because no matter what, people are right. And if
That's so
so, it
crazy.
comes down to changing and shifting your paradigm around being a victim first. Otherwise, nothing else shifts. Nothing.
Mm.
Nothing will take because it goes against their identity.
So, but then it all comes down to self-love, right? Because as long as you don't think that you are worthy of having a life with no pain and all this illness and whatever, and you get comfortable in that victim seat, like, oh, but this is happening to me, and I have no part in this, and I'm just a victim of the situation. Um, that's, to me, that comes from a place of like a lack of self-love, right? Because
Mhm.
otherwise, if you really loved yourself, you would give yourself that life that you want and you deserve. This is so
Mhm.
cool to me because some people in the community might know that I'm a huge fan of Peter Crone's work, and this is just my obsession with what he does. I don't know if you're familiar with him. He calls himself the mind architect, and to
He's
me,
basically
this.
the Dutch Rob Dial, Lindsay.
Hmm?
He's basically like he's the Dutch Rob Dial. I love him. Since Dinka's introduced
Right
him,
on.
he's Peter Cronin's good stuff.
So he basically, what he does, he goes back to like pretty much your first childhood memories where the trauma was kind of imprinted, where the programming was put in place, and he just makes these connections in your conscious mind, like, oh, so this is why you manifested this sort of disease that you have experienced, because you told yourself that you are not good enough or you cannot be
Mhm.
loved. So I love that we basically, again, we are talking about the same thing but from different perspectives, and it's so
Mhm.
cool to see that it doesn't matter what we call it, but the power in it is the same. So this really
Yes.
gets my juices
Yeah, I like that.
going.
That's
Yeah.
exactly it. The paradigm shifts, and again, that's one of the things I do is we call it clean slate. You go back and you find out what pattern, like what perceptions you are carrying that are making up your belief system that is creating the life that you're living. And when you clear away, you clean slate these perceptions, it changes. You're able to then create a new belief system based on what you want to create rather than what you have been creating. Because again, if you don't change your operating system, you're going to get the same program running
Yeah,
over and
that's
over.
Einstein's definition of madness, doing the same thing and expecting a different result.
Hmm.
It's crazy because this aligns with
Absolutely.
everything. And working with you has shaped a lot of how I do things in my solo community, the Better Brain Projects, and like tiny habits. And something I say around my house a lot is your brain doesn't know you're joking. Like, your brain doesn't know you're kidding. So don't say I'm stupid because your brain doesn't know you're kidding. Doesn't know you're joking. It hears you're stupid and it believes it. So, and one thing lately I've been saying a lot because of my school sister Dinka there, my podcast sister, is that words are like spells. Like when you say something, you're basically like a witch, right? Like you're saying a spell, you're putting it out there. Like, and I think everything you're saying aligns, like Dinka said, different perspectives, different wording, but like the same thing is what we think, what we say is going to affect everything that we become, really.
And the funny
Yeah,
thing is
your
that the
thoughts are things. They are actual, real, tangible things.
the universe is really listening to the smallest detail, because I often catch people say things like, even after they consider themselves like recovered, say things like my anxiety or my whatever, and that's still anchoring that whatever that they call theirs into their reality. So as long as you don't disown your anxiety, depression, I don't know what, burnout, fill in the blank, it will somehow still manifest in your life.
Mm.
And this is a small but um not, maybe not easy, but a simple shift that you can make and practice, because afterwards it's like catching yourself doing it and then, oh, no, 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 disowning your whatever. That has such a huge impact already.
Yeah, I sometimes call people's illnesses, like a stray cat, be careful because once you name it, you feel
Mhm.
like you got to keep it,
Yeah.
and then you
Feed it.
feed it,
Like,
and then it's
yeah.
around
Love it.
there, and then you get
Yeah.
attached to it, and then people want to like come over and talk about it and look at it, and you're like, now it's this thing. It's this thing that's attached to you, and you're attached to it, and it gets you attention, and it's like, okay, now this is blowing up. It's like a lot of people go through life searching for diagnosis instead of searching for healing.
And I lived
And when you
this.
go on this path of just searching for a diagnosis, all you're doing is just reaffirming your illness. People are like, well, I can't get better without a diagnosis. It's like, in a lot of cases, yes, you can. When you see yourself as healthy you will be. But when you see yourself as ill, weak, um, a victim, somebody who must be punished, like these are all things. It's when you talked about the whole victim mindset, it brings up one of the things I talk about is like, stop giving away your power.
Mhm.
It's everything is up to you. But we've been instilled in our mind to be for punishment. Think about that. With school, with parents, with adults, we're always punished for taking responsibility for something. So responsibility equals danger. Responsibility equals punishment. Responsibility leads to the trifecta of healing or of suffering, anger, resentment, and blame. Nobody wants that. That is a deep-seated thing in all of our subconscious mind that if you take responsibility for a situation, you're like for a bad situation, you will be punished for it. So, mm, one of the things I teach is reversing that of responsibility equals power.
Mhm.
And it's a practice in every moment. Like even in a conversation with somebody that can get heated, of just taking full responsibility. Because when you take that, you take the power back. And oftentimes we always feel like a lump in our throat or a lump in the pit of our stomachs when we think about doing that, because that's your body going, no, 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 don't take responsibility. That's dangerous. You're gonna get in trouble. And it's a natural reaction. But when we just get used to doing that over and over, that lump kind of goes away. And you realize that you're actually empowering yourself and it starts to feel lighter and more illuminated. Because every time we try to pass the blame or blame somebody else, you are handing all your power over to that person. That person, the situation, the scenario, whatever it is, you're just handing it over. And the more you disempower yourself, the more tired you're going to feel, the more disconnected you're going to feel, and the sicker you're going to get.
I was stuck in this pattern for most of my life until my mid 30s, late 30s. I was 21 years old, and a doctor, what he did, he listened to me for like a half hour about my behaviors and my responses and my habits that I had that I was kind of learned through years of mental health trauma. And then he diagnosed me with something called borderline personality disorder because I checked a couple boxes. And for the next, the words he said, and I'll never forget them, you'll have this forever. There's no medication to fix this. Pretty much good luck. I added that part. But like, and I lived that way because of those words. Words are spells. I lived that way until I was like 36. I leaned on addictions. I got cleaned up. I was a fighter. Like I did some things in my life. I had kids, but I wasn't great or good or decent or trying at anything because I didn't think I could. And then add some injuries and addictions on top of that. Then I really didn't think I could until I did think I had to. Then I started doing a few things and then I thought I could. Then my transformation journey really kicked off. But until then, I became that diagnosis because of those words that he said. Forever, no medication. Good luck. See you later. That shaped me from 21 to 36 years old. So I totally get what you guys are talking about is when you become a diagnosis, our daughter has she's on the spectrum. I don't like to she's on the autism spectrum. And we've never ever told her once she has autism. She has speech teachers, she has things. Her and our mother and I agreed because you could always tell we had different things come into the house. We could 6 months and up, year and up, we knew. So we always had a lot of support. But we've never once sat down and said, you are autistic or you have autism. And you know what? I might get blasted
You
and stuff like this
Good
by
for
some
you for not doing that. That is a gift in itself because
there's my addiction.
I don't know if you ever listened to a couple of the podcasts I sent you on autism healing,
Yes, I
but
remember this. Yes, I know what you're talking. Yes, I remember this.
yeah, It's incredible what people are doing with detoxing and heavy metal detoxing and everything, and the amazing results that they're having with transformations and detoxing heavy metals in the brain and everything. And it's amazing. Kids are getting healthy and doing really well. So good for you for not giving her that label. That's awesome.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, and I was also thinking about this, what you were mentioning, that people are like trying to get a diagnosis is almost like going around shouting like, what's wrong with me? What's wrong with me? Like the thing that's wrong with you is the assumption that you think something wrong with you. So that's really a kind of like a light bulb moment.
Yeah, I understand the frustration, yeah, that people feel when you do have symptoms that are just so unexplainable. I understand that. I completely resonate with that. I did that for a long time after I had a fall in an accident. I crushed my shoulder, and right away they're like, "Ah, your shoulder's fine." And it was like here. And it was black and it was crumpled. And I'm like, don't feel that good. Maybe you could help me. They're like, nothing showed up in the x-ray. You'll be fine. Stuck like this for months on end going, I can't use my arm. And I went to many doctors over and over and over trying to figure out what was going on, not knowing that I could heal myself, but I really wanted to know deep down what was going on. And I eventually went the route of surgery and bone graft surgery and all these things. And I kind of poo-pooed the holistic method of healing. And hindsight, I'm like, oh, I could have saved myself a surgery, but I just listened to my sister, who was a doctor of Chinese medicine. She's like, you could regrow bones. She had like these herbs that were like bone break soup and all these bone regrowing herbs. And I was like, huh? You can regrow bones? I don't know. It doesn't make any sense. But she's like, and then she looked at me like, yeah, you don't get it. And she was just not in the mood to try and convince me of something. So there I was going for extra surgery when I could have saved myself that time. But again, I didn't know. There was no real guidance. I was at the whim of my doctors and I was stuck in this horrible pain for years and years. But that's again why we want to get out and talk to people and share these kinds of stories so that people can go, oh, you can do that? I didn't know, because you can't expect somebody to jump on doing something when they know nothing about it. They've never heard of anybody doing these things. It's unheard of. So, having these conversations really helps people. Getting this stuff out there, it helps people.
Absolutely. Well, maybe this is a good segue into the next question. So when did this little light bulb go on in your head? How did your journey start with this kind of healing?
There was a few light bulbs that flickered and then kind of fizzled out and flickered up again and fizzled out. And I guess one of the first ones was when my godmother became very ill with stage 4 cancer, and what they called metastasized. It had spread, and they gave her like 3 months to live. And she'd been for surgeries. She was losing her hair. She was so frail. It was awful. And she went and sought out holistic healing from as she described it, just a little woman. And she gave her something. And within a couple months, she was completely better. And her doctors chalked it up to a miracle. They're like, it's a miracle. And I'm like, I remember this time in my life very vividly because my mom, she had all these herbal books out and she was looking at all the teas and all the things. And she was bringing her funny movies because she's like, laughter's the best medicine. And she's bringing her all these herbs and helping cheer her up and being there for her. And I believe that made a big difference too in the speed of her recovery, having that kind of support, laughter, and all the herbal support and nutritional support. But essentially, I had my godmother made a full recovery, lived her full life. She only passed away a couple of years ago, like at a tender old age. But um, yeah, it's seeing that I was like, wait a minute, wait a minute. She made a recovery from a stage 4 cancer that was supposed to kill her. And she went back to her doctors and they looked at her, chalked it up to a miracle, and carried on their merry little way. Nobody asked her how she did it. Nobody? Red flag. I was like, they should be on that going, whoa, you did that? Amazing. Where's this woman? We got to talk to her. We got to apply this to as many other patients with the same situation as we can. We need to duplicate these results. Nobody did that. That was a huge red flag. That was the first red flag saying, oh, they're using cancer as an industry now. Great. Okay. They're profiting off this. That was the first red flag. Um, After that, it was just seeing stories and of people making recoveries from illnesses where it's like two of the same illnesses, one person gets better, one person doesn't, and comparing the two. What was the difference? And it all came down to mindset and belief system, and that was it.
I have
You
a
will never
friend.
find that which you do not look for, and if you do not believe there to be any solution, you won't look for it.
I have a friend here in Wisconsin that her and her husband are told she had a lot of problems and endometriosis and PCOS and all this stuff, and that she was told he doesn't ever have kids. He's infertile. You have all these problems, and it'll never happen. And they got on all these medications and tried all this stuff and everything. Like they sunk thousands and thousands of dollars, more lost land, all sorts of stuff. And then they said, you know what? We're going to go gluten free. We're going to learn everything we can about herbs. We're going to learn everything we can about oils and tinctures and uh, um, everything. And she's an astrology coach too, and she's a great friend of mine. And we're just going to eat clean. No processed food, no dyes, no chemicals. We're going to grow our own food. They have like 7 kids and they're all over and they're like all over the farm and they were never ever supposed to have kids. And that's the stuff. Me too. So like the stories that you hear about this. Like we were talking earlier with autism. There's that documentary, I'm gonna mess up the name, but there's one on Prime Video where the family uh they talked to Alex Clark, this famous podcaster, this crunchy mom, they call her. And they talked to her, and this family went to raw milk, clean food, no dyes, no sugar. Their autistic son that couldn't verbally speak at all. And now he's like going to school. So, but the thing
Yeah.
is to create these new habits, the new thoughts, the new people think this is Mount Everest, and sometimes it feels like it. Even some days I've been doing this for 3, I don't know. I've been trying to figure all this out that you're talking about and more for a few years now. And it's for all of us. It's every day. But to start, it feels impossible.
You see that? Yeah, faith. Faith is where you start. We live in so much fear that what we're trying to do won't work. We live in so much fear that we're wrong, that everything we do is for nothing, that we won't get what we want. And it's those beliefs that stop us from truly getting what we want. And those are the beliefs that live deep in our subconscious mind and your subconscious mind is what creates. So just because you're saying things like you can start with the thoughts at the forefront of your mind to influence your subconscious mind, but it's recognizing where these beliefs coming from. Again, going back to childhood, letting go of these things and just giving into faith. If you truly believed that you could wake up tomorrow 100% better, you would. But the problem is people are not willing to believe that because they're so worried about being disappointed that they would rather be right and be, ill or miserable. And I always
Uh,
ask people, do you want to be right and miserable or do you want to be right and have everything that you want? It's stepping into 100% faith. And it's, again, always easier said than done, but it's
a little bit of
once you
delusion.
realize what you
I
are.
feel like it's also it's kind of a submission. So um I'm a rebel at heart. So my process is usually like somebody telling me that I can't do something and I'm like, "Oh yeah, watch me." This is my immediate reaction.
That
So I think that maybe it's not really the faith, but it's kind of this submission. It's like, oh, I've been fed this information, so there's no challenging that. It's like just believing everything that is um, the propaganda that is coming from, as you said, the news and all that programming that we're listening to. So there's no pushback. There's no like like this critical thinking of like skepticism, like, is this though really true? Like, is this really how it is? Or maybe
You guys
there's supposed to be just like a healthy curiosity, like, okay, so this is maybe true for that person. Is this really true for me? Just like this kind of, turning a little bit inwards and listening and asking questions to yourself, like, is this really true for me? Maybe I'm wrong, but this is just how my weird brain operates.
Yeah, no, I agree. Question everything. Question everything. And that's why you can do like the 30 days of observing your thoughts. Question everything.
get more curious.
Observe
I've
them.
written in my journal like 100
Yeah.
times because of you. Get more curious. Get more curious. Because I'm a really
Yeah.
defensive, passionate person. And you were working on
You
me.
don't say.
Tim knows this about me, and you really work on me. Get more curious, slow down, ask more questions. I still struggle with this at times, but I feel I'm finding ways to work around it and getting curious and, hey, what do you mean by that? Or hey, can you expand? Like that stuff helps me a lot.
I dare you to show up on a call with me to do presence practicing and work our way up to that 20-minute mark. I'm calling you out in front of all these people
I'll
to
do it.
meet
Send me
up
your
with me in the near future. I don't know when, but to meet up and to go through the full power of presence practice.
like it. Send me your like. We'll do this. It's been long, 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 long overdue. Long overdue. One thing Dinka said, I want to go back to quick before I lose it. Dinka
Or
said,
better yet, you know what I could do? My sister is the guru of presence. She would run the best power of presence workshop you like. I can see if she would like to come feature a power of presence workshop in your community for everyone here
Amazing.
so that everybody can
I would
join
love
in
this.
on the power of
That's
presence workshop.
I would love this. After this summit, we are
Would
definitely
anybody like
talking
that?
about special events. We would love this.
Yeah,
Yeah.
drop some hearts if you're interested in this. I don't know,
Yeah.
everybody's probably shaking in their boots, but I want to see how many people are like, yeah, I'll show up for that. Yeah, yeah. Because it's one of those things you cannot do it on the recording. This is not something that you can record and show later because everybody will be going to breakout rooms to practice, like actually do the power of presence practicing. So this is something that will happen live. If you're interested in it, I will reach out to her and see if she's got some time to throw your way.
Yes, yes, yes. If she does, I would be appreciative and grateful because this is something after the summit we're thinking is coming. We have so many cool people that know so many cool things at special events. Having
Yeah.
something where show up live and experience it with the forest. So this aligns with that. Yes, we will stay. We will talk about that.
It's a lot of fun.
great.
She came and did a couple workshops in my community already, and it was powerful. It was really, really great. I always love them, so I think you'll like it too.
Dinka, when you said something about propaganda earlier that we listen to and that affects our minds and our thoughts, I'd like to argue, and I think you'll both agree with me, is that the worst propaganda that we hear comes from within because we're telling ourselves how worthless we are and how dumb we are and that we can't do it. And, well, this time when we were 17 years old, we screwed up. So we're probably going to screw it up again. The worst propaganda we deal with in this realm of changing how we think is the thoughts themselves.
Yeah, looking. So to
No
snuff out those
Dinka.
repetitive thoughts,
Yeah.
you got to replace them. Bring in the good stuff. And Rob Dial always taught this. He's like, start celebrating your wins. Everybody just loves to go hit
Dopamine
record and
reward system.
repeat
I do
on all
this
the
a lot.
shitty
Thanks to
things.
Rob.
What's that?
I said I do this a lot. Thanks to Rob. It's a part of celebrating
Yeah.
the small wins, the dopamine reward system. It's a part of my.
But yeah,
I
it's
a lot.
setting your reticular activating system. You're gonna find more of what you look for. Stop looking for shit. You're gonna keep stepping in shit every
Yeah,
time. Like
I love
you
that.
will always get what you think and what you say. That's a fact. Always. If you don't like what you're living, change your state, change your mind, change your thoughts. If you can't change your first thought, change your second thought and make it a habit. Don't beat yourself up for it. And if you don't get what you want right in an instant, don't jump on the, oh, it didn't work, so quickly we can just, oh, it didn't work. It's like, no, have some faith that guaranteed 100% you are guaranteed to get what you want if you actually think about what you want. The problem is we think about what we want 1% of the time, and 99% of the time we're thinking about all the shit that went wrong. Maybe 1% of the time you can think about all the shit that went wrong and then move on with your day and think about what you like and what went well and what you're focusing on, what you're working towards and what you're appreciative of the 99% of the time. Making that switch and
I
it's
have that.
practice.
You were talking about manifesting disease. Thoughts like when you think of something, you can manifest disease. What about situations? What about like example, like um, divorce proceedings or the way things are going with a relationship? Or can you, if you keep reacting the same way or thinking the same way, can you prolong situations like that? You believe?
Yes. See, opposing energies create pendulums, and those pendulums swing back with more of what you don't want. Find like when you come to a situation with inner peace, when you approach any situation with love, you are 99.9% more likely to get what you want if you're coming from to it with genuine love. Opposing forces just create more opposing scenarios. They give you more. It's, so if you're angry about something, you're putting out that you want more situations to be angry about. If you are neutral, then you allow faith, you step into faith and you allow things to unfold as in your best scenario, like your best interest. That's what I'm looking for. There are forces fighting for the goodness of everything in your life every second of every day. They want to give you exactly what you want. They want to give you everything good because you are goodness, you are love. But if you are showing anger, resentment and blame, you will be presented with more scenarios that give you opportunities to be angry, resentful and blameful. That is what you get, and that is why the practice of non-reaction or coming from a place of love changes that. It kind of stifles it out. It snuffs out that flame of just, you know,
Yeah. Well, that's why I asked the
dumpster
question.
fire life.
It's like when you pray for patience, what you will be presented with is more situations where you need to practice patience.
Yeah. The best prayer in the entire world is just being thankful for everything. Because yeah, when you say you want something, it usually stays in the place of wanting.
Mm.
That's
Yeah,
one
it
thing that I
puts
had a lot
that
of trouble
gap.
with because I'm like,
Yeah.
yeah, I ask for things. I'm like, stop
When is
asking.
it
Ask
coming?
for it
Yeah.
once, ask for it once, and then shut up. Stop being the kid poking. Is it coming? Is it coming? Is it here yet? Is it here yet? Is it here yet? It's like, ease up.
Yeah, this is
Just
something that I also
yeah.
truly believe that a lot of people get wrong about manifestation. Or not wrong, but it's like manifestation is happening all the time. It's instantaneous. It's not like you manifest something and then you have to wait a certain amount of time. Well, you do because you're not manifesting what you
Sometimes you
really
do.
want. Yeah,
Sometimes you don't.
exactly.
Sometimes
But
things
you
come to you
think
really quick.
you're manifesting it, but then there's this resistance. You're not believing it. You're like, oh, but is it really? And when is it coming? And there's doubt. There's like this disbelief, and that's why it's taking so long. You just have to get out of your
Because you
own
lose your
way.
faith. If you
Exactly.
actually had the faith and stayed in the faith, you would never worry, doubt, stress, anything. You would just fall in love with the process of doing the things you need to do. You would fall in love with your daily habits, your daily routine. You would just keep doing the things, knowing full well that what you're working towards is coming to you. If you had 100% full, like knowing 100% undoubt faith, you would never worry or stress. Every time you feel worry, stress, anxiety, your faith is gone.
Anybody that knows me personally, what she just said is why I haven't, because I've believed delusionally that everything was going to work out what I was doing the last few years. Um, I fully believe in this. You have to see the outcomes of things. And once you believe in it, you have to feel it. You have to be grateful for everything you have, and you have to feel it. And that's kept me going in a lot of scenarios. I have fully believe this.
Yeah.
I think
And
there's
it's,
something really
and
important there, Brandon, what you said that you have to see to believe it. I think it's actually really the other way around. You have to believe it and then you will see it.
Yeah, true, great, true.
and one thing I've been guilty of myself is putting too much importance on something, putting an overwhelming amount of importance onto something like I have to do this. This is the thing I have to do. And it's just like this energetic wave of importance onto that thing. It actually pushes that thing further away. So when you have faith, there's no urgency. There's no, oh my gosh, I have to do this kind of importance.
Yeah.
Because again, that creates that's an energy push away. Let go of the importance of it. If it happens, it happens. And if it doesn't, it doesn't. But it's adopting that nonchalant kind of, it's, I believe it will and it will. But but there's no energetic attachment to it. It's our energy is strange that way. But when when we put too much importance onto a situation, we are we're pushing it away. I don't know how else to say it. I've said it 3 times in the same way. I'm trying to find other words to express it, but it's just like I've pushed things away over and over by accident, not realizing that I was putting too much importance on it. And an example of that was, when I wanted my second child, I put a lot of importance. I was tracking everything. I was just like, it's got to happen. It's got to happen by this time. And eventually I was just like, my husband was like, go away. I was like, man, ruining my relationship over this. Everything is so stressful. And I was like, you know what? If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. It's out of my hands now. If it's meant to be, it will be. I know what I want. And I trust the timing, like divine timing. I have to trust divine timing. And I needed to create flow in my life as well. That's the other thing. A component is creating that energetic flow of what you want. I went into my other daughter's bedroom and I took out all the totes of awesome dresses and clothes and all the jumpers and all this cute stuff. And I took it to the play group that I went to and I just put it out for all the moms and was like, here, take it, go nuts. And they were just like, it's like Christmas. And I just gave away everything. The next day I found out I was pregnant.
Nice. Feel you back.
Yeah. I was like, "What?
This is
That's amazing!" Because I'm like, my husband was stonewalling me. Not to be too much information here, but I got to see him once, I think, in the last month before that. That was it. Like, I was just like, and that's how the universe works. Let
yeah,
go of
you
the
should have
outcome,
four
trust
people.
divine timing. You don't need to grasp so tightly onto everything. Chill the F out. Just create some flow, give what you want to get. Because we can hold on so tightly to the things we want, but in doing that, it just pushes it away.
And especially when you have like a very specific way of how things need to happen. This is what I always say, that you put in the order, but then the when and the how is above your pay grade. That's none of your business. Like, your job is to get very specific on what you want, and then kind of let go of the outcome, as you say, and just
Yeah, you don't want to bug the waiter.
just like sit back and wait for the universe to over deliver and surprise you, because it's going to come in the way that you couldn't even imagine it, probably. So, but that really requires some sort of faith or belief that it will happen, and that's the seal. That's the seal on the, or the stamp on the order, right? When you just know, you don't know how, you don't know when, but you just know it's coming.
Yeah. Yeah. Just fall in love with the process. And I know everybody says this all the time, but it's true. It's, you know, put your order in and then just get to work just doing the things and enjoy the things. Because the fact is, we are all God experiencing itself in human form.
Mm.
And God likes to have some fun through you. That's why you exist. It wants to have some fun with you. So that means enjoying the process. If you're doing things begrudgingly, if you're not having fun, then God's like, I'm not having fun. Is this really what we're working towards? It's like, no. God, if you're like, I want this, God's like, yeah, I want that too. Let's do that. And it's like, that's the joy. And then on the way there, you're like, oh, hey, let's have a fun doing all these things on the way there. And there might be some side streets and other things that get thrown your way to help you grow and learn and practice different things. But everything comes to you for a reason. It's all for your growth. It's all for your fun. It's all for you. So stop resisting everything. Take everything and go with it. Run with it. Every time you're put in a situation that you think kind of sucks, it'd be like, wait a minute, this is a gift for me. This is something. What am I supposed to learn here? It's like a video game. You got to level up. Otherwise, the same shitty thing's going to
Oh,
keep happening to you.
I say
So
this all the
enjoy the
time. Yeah.
process. Take the joy.
I
It's
say this all
everywhere.
the time, that the life is actually the best video game that ever been designed. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's a school also. This planet is, we are here to learn. We are here to be better, right? So yeah.
That's why
Remember
school is
what
so
you
amazing.
are.
Hon- Honestly, Lindsay, I just thought of something and I accept your challenge for the presents. I will reach out to you and we will get together, but I'm going to throw a challenge back.
Or you could just do the big presents thing with everybody. You could just do it
That's great.
with everyone.
Well, then
Then
fine, I'm still going to challenge you anyway because we have we're at towards the end of our call. I have not asked you about herbal herbs or plants as medicine yet. We have not talked about your school community, Misty Mountains Holistic Health. And we have 10 minutes left. So my challenge is you need to schedule another episode on our podcast. In honor of your time, then that is a good time. Like I said, guys, Misty Mountains Holistic Health. She posted about it in Evergreen Foundations today. Amazing community. We didn't even touch her knowledge of flower essences, herbs, nothing. That's what I'm saying. Next time, Lindsay, next time we're going to talk about that for an hour. But Dinka, I'm going to throw the ball over to you. And we'll go out to that part of this.
So what I do on these calls, I have my little angels and ancestors oracle deck here, and I always draw a card, tuning into the speaker's energy. and it's been pretty cool. So I'm very curious about this one, and you can't make this shit up. I mean, it's really I'm so excited about this. So the card that I got for you, it reads Air Guardian, and it says shift your perception.
Oh, yeah, that was good. These have been so
Oh,
perfect.
how
So I
cool.
hope this resonates. But that
I
was
love
kind
that.
of implied.
That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Oh, I really like that.
That you
Yeah,
couldn't expect.
perception shift has been the name of the game for a while now. So that's a lot of what we do in Misty Mountains Holistic is you find your courage, you shift your perception, and it's a lot of little daily th- practices to just have those small mindful shifts and learn a bunch of fun stuff on the way. So
Well, I know
thank you
your
guys
time's
so
precious.
much for joining me.
Yeah, I thank you so much. This has been a wonderful time just talking, and everything you're saying is so powerful and deep. And we could probably talk for a long, long, long time. I love how we did like a roundtable perspectives on it there. That was fun. Join our community, guys. Lindsay's amazing. The Evolution podcast keeps steaming forward. And Lindsay, before I let you go, I ask every guest in the summit the same question. What does evolution mean to you?
Evolution to me means realizing your ability as a conscious creator, as just being consciousness itself, finding your way to pure consciousness, letting go of all the things we think we are, this body stuff.
I swear
We
to
are
God,
pure
I don't know.
consciousness. We evolve. That's where we go. Pure consciousness. Enjoy it. It's a game. It's fun.
I swear to God, I tell none of the guests the question beforehand. I mean, if they watch, they obviously know, but I feel like all of these just perfectly answered like to that person. That one didn't disappoint. Lindsay, thank you so much. Everyone else, have a wonderful day, and we'll keep seeing you on the podcast. Have a good day.
Excellent. Thanks everyone for showing up, and thank you guys so much for having me. I really enjoyed chatting with you guys, and I can't wait to do it again.
Will do. I'm holding you to that.
Definitely.
Awesome. Have
See
a
you
great
guys.
day.